Well, hi and welcome to BestIn Tesla if you're watching this on my channel or if you
And
are.
hey, y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All if you're watching it from my channel. And if you're watching it from mine, I'll leave a link to Lars's so you can like click on his and like his. So double watch. Everyone should watch half on each one.
Yeah,
There we go.
and vice
Exactly.
versa. Awesome.
Right.
So this is actually becoming a tradition now, John. Third
Woohoo!
year in a
Yeah.
row that
3
we have
years.
to cheer to make it
All right. We're gonna
cheer.
toast. This is Tesla, by the way. I don't know if you can see that, but it's Tesla themed. All right, cool. Skull, is that it? Is that right? Skull.
Skål.
Mm.
So
Okay, it's still early in the day, but this is very good tequila. So I'll just sip it. It's very nice.
awesome. Yeah, it's evening here, so yeah, I have to serve the cold beer now after a long day.
There you go. So how has your year been personally? I noticed that last year we did not ask each other about our personal years. Did you have a good 2023?
Yeah, it went by really, really fast though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought we
Very
just got
crazy.
started, and I've just been to the Fully Charged live show, and bam, it
Right.
was just over in Christmas and
Yep.
New Year, and yeah, it has been very, very fast. But I guess that's because we are having fun doing what we're doing.
Exactly. We are.
Yeah,
We are. And
and
your
still,
channel's growing, which is fantastic. It's like
yeah,
everything's well.
yeah,
Yep.
still growing. Yeah, so that's cool. Closing
Cool.
in on that 100,000 now, so that's probably going to be maybe
Right.
in April or May or something if everything
Right.
continues.
So I noticed that I sort of feel like I'm tracking almost exactly a year behind you. So that means that probably around March, April of 2024, or 2025, I'll probably hit 100,000. So
Maybe you'll overtake me at some point.
one of these days, I'm going to look for the little YouTube play button behind you so that you've got
Yeah,
that. So there
exactly.
you
We're gonna
go. One of
change
those
the
places. They'll have places. Oh, I do notice that we both have. I got to move out that way. Jeez, I can't get my directions right here. That we both have the Starship lighter. Yeah, which is very
yeah.
cool.
We just used it for New Year's actually to do some desserts. So
Yeah,
it
there you
works.
go. So
Yeah.
so my wife, I call her misinformation on the channel, but anyway, Lane, she yesterday picked it up, pointed it right at her face and goes, "How does this work?" and turned it on. I was like, "Please point that away from me." I was like, "You are going to just burn your face off if you like." Yeah, so I was like, "My gosh, it should have a warning on the bottom like do not point towards face." So
Exactly.
anyway. Yeah.
So how have you been?
Anyway.
You been, John?
It has been good. I've had just a nasty cough for the last month that has not gone away. So maybe the tequila will help it. So there you go. But anyway, aside from that, it's been, like you said, just a whirlwind year. Um, it was amazing to go to the Cybertruck delivery event. That was incredible. The announcement event itself was not fantastic because we were behind a whole bunch of people and you couldn't really see anything and it was really short, but the factory tour was to die for. That was amazing and very worthwhile. And of course, went to the shareholder meeting back in May and was very happy to have had a chance to at least speak briefly to Elon. And who knows, maybe someday that interview will actually happen. So that would be a good
Yeah,
thing.
that would
Yeah.
be
So
absolutely epic.
cheers to that as well. So
Yeah.
anyways, but it was good 2023. So I look back at our predictions our 2023 predictions, which were, what did we say? I think I said 2 million for 2023 and you said 2.2 million. And so optimism bias, baby.
Exactly. I think the year before it was actually kind of the same thing that
Right.
I
Right.
was a bit more optimistic than you, and we were both a bit too
Right.
optimistic.
Yeah. But at the same time, who would have predicted that the interest rates would have risen so radically over? I mean, it was just amazing how much interest rates went up last year.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that really put the damper on things. I also noticed from watching last year's video that I was like, oh, I wish we could get rid of our last gas car. And we did that in 2023. So that was a huge
Yeah.
moment because the IRS tax credit worked for the Model 3 last year. So we bought a standard range Model 3. So we now have a 3 and a Y. And that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
that was a big deal. And you of course have two now, right? You also have a 3 and a Y.
Three in a Y, yeah, same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Which one do you like driving better?
Well, the Model Y is much newer. The Model 3
Right.
is from 2019, so it's
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
first that came to Denmark here. So um, It's getting old, but I
Right.
still like the low ride of it. It's still
Hmm.
a fun car to drive, where the Model Y is much higher up, but it's still the
Right.
performance version I got, so it's still it's quite fun to drive.
Oh, you got the performance version of the Y. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got the long range. The long range is great. It's and
Mm.
I do feel a little bit like a soccer mom driving it though, because it's after driving the 3, it sits up so high. So officially, my wife is the one who drives the 3, and I drive the Y. But I actually like to drive the 3, just
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it is a low rider. I kind of like that sports car feel, being a little bit lower to the road, and
yeah,
so yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
very
And
cool.
the Model Y that we both got did become the best-selling car. Maybe not officially yet, but
Woohoo.
very
Yeah,
close, probably.
yeah, yeah. More than
That's
likely.
kind of crazy, quite amazing.
Yeah.
Even in a high interest rate economy,
Right.
a very expensive car has become the best-selling car in the world.
Right.
That's pretty
And
impressive.
I was going to say, even if for some reason it manages to lose by a couple thousand vehicles from being the most popular car, by revenue is going to be it's going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the next vehicle in terms of revenue per sale, because it's such an expensive car. It was also interesting to look at last year's video and realize we were talking about, I think this Model Y was around $60,000 last year.
Yeah,
Um, we were saying, oh, if it could only bring it down under $55,000, it would be, because at the time the tax credit was kind of goofy. And I'm like, wow, that's in the rearview mirror. It's so much below that now. It's like no big
yeah,
deal at all. It's crazy.
yeah. It also like took Europe with storm and become the
Mm,
best-selling car in
mhm,
Europe,
mhm.
and that's the first time an electric vehicle does that. But also that is the first time a non-European car brand actually does that. I find that so
Wow.
amazing that Toyota,
Wow.
Ford, GM has never been able to do that. And Tesla comes in and lowers the price very
Right.
aggressively at the beginning of the year, and it just became an absolutely no-brainer here in Europe for an
Right.
electric vehicle for the family that just want a car that you don't go on compromise with one cargo space or range, charging, and all that good stuff. So yeah, and safety, of course.
Right. Right. So,
Yeah.
and in Denmark, it's just, I've seen some of the graphs you've shown, and I don't have the numbers in my head, but it's just like so far ahead of everybody else. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's sold 3 times more than the runner-up of any
Wow.
kind in Denmark,
Wow.
and that was
And
the
that's
little
not electric cars. That's cars, just cars.
any kind,
Yeah.
yeah, any kind,
Yeah.
any car. And the runner-up was the little Peugeot 208, and that's a
Right.
very small car. I don't think you even have it in the US,
No.
and that cost half the amount of the Tesla Model Y.
Wow.
So it's just like mind-boggling what they have done
Right.
in Denmark.
That's
It's just
amazing.
taken over, and Tesla is the best-selling brand as well. And the Model Y
Right.
is so far ahead that all the Volkswagen brand has sold in Denmark, which is the number 2 brand in Denmark.
Right.
The Model Y have sold more units than the whole Volkswagen brand combined.
Wow.
That
Incredible.
is quite
Well,
amazing. So they have
yeah.
really taken over here in Denmark.
And so again, cheers. This is actually tea, but this is in my Giga mug that I got.
Gigabug.
So the Giga mug. Yeah. So I
Cyber.
can't really turn it over right now because it's very angular and very faceted. So a cyber mug. Sorry, not Giga mug, cyber
Yeah,
mug.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway. It's a little awkward to drink out of. You have to make sure you get one of the angles right, or else it'll spill all over your face.
All of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. You get a little extra surprise from it. But anyway, it's very cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So okay. What about? I guess let's just lead off with predictions. What are going to be the production delivery numbers for 2024? You go first.
Let's see if we can hit it this time.
I know we weren't even close last year. So
No, no, absolutely not. And it became obvious quite early in the year
yeah,
as
yeah.
well that this is not going to happen. So, anyways, I believe we're gonna come in about 2.2 million.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
at
Oh
24.
wow! I think we're in agreement this time. That's what I was going to say, and I had that number in my head before you said anything. So
Yeah,
but yeah, I was going to say I think that's about what Tesla's guiding for too, right? I think they said that. So
yeah. I don't know if they said it. I haven't heard it myself. I just
oh,
thought
okay, okay,
Bloomberg wrote it in an
right,
article that they
okay,
said that Tesla is guiding for 2.2.
right,
But I think that's pretty realistic. In
yeah,
Q3, they showed the little chart of their capacity, and that was 2.35. So a
right.
little less than their production capacity in Q3 of 2023. So sounds
Very
about
cool.
sounds about
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and
And we're not gonna have a new factory coming on or anything. It's just a ramp up
right.
Model 3, Model Y, and the Cybertruck a bit there.
Right.
So
Yeah, this is a little bit more of a predictable year, I think, because
yeah,
clearly Mexico, they have decided not to build that out as fast as they can. So that's
yeah,
going to take some time. So yeah, I think it's more, and also Tesla has done, they guided for 1.8 million this year all year long, and they came in at 1.808 million or something like that.
yeah,
So they were right on target. So I'm like, yeah, let's just go with what I think that they're going to project for us. So
yeah.
and
The
it's
news is
amazing.
right about that.
You watch the news, the mainstream news, of course. Let's be specific, and everyone's like, "Oh, terrible quarter for Tesla," and they're guiding for low growth next year, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, it doesn't seem bad to me. This is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
This was a tiny car company 3 years ago, and if they get to anywhere over 2 million cars, that puts them in the top 10 vehicle manufacturers in the world. I'm not positive if they'll reach that this year, but they're going to be close.
yeah,
So
exactly. They are
it's
even this year. We haven't got the Audi numbers yet for Q4,
right,
but they're going to
right,
be neck and neck with Audi in 2023. So
right,
they're going
right,
to gain and close in on BMW and Mercedes next year. So
right.
big German automakers, they're going to be
Yeah,
in that kind of
yeah,
league. So I think it's quite amazing. Only having the premium segment.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you think about that, and Mercedes and BMW only have premium too, of
yeah,
course, but like the Volkswagen, most of their cars are fairly mass market cars. So it's
yeah.
really impressive that Tesla is competing that heavily. So yeah, it's
Yeah, 400, and still, even though it sounds small with 25% growth next year, it's still
right,
400,000 units. So they're still
right,
going to grow with more units than Ford and
right.
GM combined are going to sell of BEVs next year. So it's still quite amazing growth they're going to do.
Yeah. And I guess that brings up two things. We can talk about German auto manufacturers and also American and also
Yep.
BYD specifically, but I'll start with BYD because the other thing that was really impressive this year is BYD was 1.6 something million pure EVs. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly what happens in
1.589 something.
yeah, I mean, so it's right around 1.6, but
1.6.
so a lot of people are like BYD is going to clearly catch and pass Tesla next year, but I'm like if Tesla, let's say, does 2.2 million, that means that they have to produce more than 600,000 more vehicles next year than they did this year. That's a pretty big ask. I mean, I
Yeah,
know they've been growing really, really rapidly, and maybe that'll happen, but I think it'll be a really interesting competition to watch this year. That's going to
yeah.
be the one.
Yeah, exactly. I think they have one factory I've heard of coming online in Hungary or something in Europe. So that's
Okay.
going to be
Yeah.
really interesting in overall because
Right.
they're not really taking off in Europe this year. Tesla still
Yeah.
sells like 23 times as many EVs here in Europe as
Right.
BYD.
Right.
So they're not really penetrated over here very well compared to MG, Geely's MG. The
Right.
MG4 is like the fifth or fourth best-selling electric vehicle in Europe. So they have done quite amazingly.
Right.
But BYD not so much here in Europe. But a factory here could probably help with that, and also just people getting more known with the brand as well.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't know if how many factories they have retooled from the old factories or whatever they have. But 600,000 that is a big ask again.
Right.
They did grow
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
678,000 this year, something like that.
Right.
So it
Right.
was a big growth this year, but they also had a lot of factories coming online and so on. So
Right.
yeah, it's gonna be a close race next year, I think,
Yeah.
all the way through the year. Where in 2023 it was kind of BYD catching up to Tesla, and I think next
Right.
year is going to be a close race all the way through the year.
I think you bring up a good point. And in the United States, I'm actually really interested because I'm leaving to go. Last year, I was leaving to go to CES the day after we chatted, and this year I'm leaving like 2 days from now. But it'll be interesting to see at CES if BYD is there. Last year, I got to drive a VinFast and a couple of other EV makers. You know, they had their vehicles there,
Yeah.
and so that was really cool. But BYD was not a presence at CES, and so
Ah,
if they are there, that would indicate that they were trying to get into the United States, I would think.
yeah.
Um, they really have. I don't even know if there are any sold here. Certainly not in any kind of real numbers. I mean, there probably
Oh,
are some
okay.
out there somewhere, but this is a big market, and you're not going to grow to 2.2 million vehicles, at least not easily, without some vehicles being sold in the U.S. and certainly a lot more sold in Europe.
But they kind
So
of have
yeah.
to make a factory over there to be competitive on price and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, I guess if they make a super cheap one and sell it for 25 or $30,000, who cares if there's not the Inflation Reduction Act tax credit?
Yeah, sure. But I also think like if because they have very, very cheap electric vehicles in China right now for like $10,000 or $15,000, whatever. But that is not like what I expect from the next generation vehicle from Tesla anyway.
Right.
So if they
Right.
come in with just cheap electric vehicles and not
Right.
affordable, good electric vehicles, still think they're going to have trouble entering the market if they're this uncompetitive, because they just have to come with a little crappy electric vehicle to have the
Right.
price right, but then the car is not really
Right. Right.
competitive with what Tesla has.
So I guess that would be their European factory is probably their solution to that in Europe, is to get around a lot of the tariffs by building their cars here or there so yeah. Yeah, the problem is, even if they already have a spot to build a factory and they announce it tomorrow, it's not coming online in 2024. It takes especially in the United States, it'll take a solid 2 years to build the factory and have it at any kind of production level. So it's going to be a while, and it'll be interesting. And certainly the United States government has been very protectionist and starting to throw up barriers to Chinese car companies coming in. So they're trying to slow it down, which honestly I think is, I know it's led to a lot of tension with China, but I think it's probably a good idea, because once the Chinese cars get here, it's sort of like the Japanese invasion in the 70s and 80s in the US and Europe. It's like, once they're here, they're here. You don't get to turn back the clock and say no more. So,
No.
and they will be here eventually, and it's not a bad thing either. It's just that I think giving US companies more time to compete is a good idea. Not that it's going to help the likes of GM or Ford or anybody, but because they just, so let's turn from BYD, which is an amazing story, to specifically Toyota, Volkswagen, GM, Ford, companies like that.
Because
what a terrible year.
2023 was also the year where Volkswagen took the whole group to the Shanghai Auto Show, where they kind of were just shocked about how far the competition in China has come.
Right.
Even Audi CEO was out to saying that he has not seen a technology battle like this ever, and they have underestimated the strengths of the Chinese competitors. So I think they were shocked at what they saw in China, and I think they are feeling the heat right now, and I think we can really show, it's definitely from the European and also for Toyota, because China is really a big market for them, and they are not really getting any momentum. The Model Y have sold more units in China than all of the German automakers combined in 2023. We don't have all the numbers yet, but that is how it looks like after the first 3 quarters anyway. They were actually quite far behind Tesla, just the Model Y actually. So
and that's China is a it's scary.
It's just that also we have seen in 2023 both GM and Ford cutting back on their predictions and targets for next year. So we saw that in 2022. Ford was raising their targets like crazy, like tripling and quadrupling their targets for the F-150 Lightning because of all the demand they saw. And then suddenly here through 2023, they have been cutting back and taking back their claims, even though GM still say they will catch Tesla in 2025. But they're running out
That's
of time.
because Mary Barra is planning to retire at the end of this year. She'll be like, I'm retired. I have nothing to do with the fact that we didn't catch them.
I'm just going to be gone out of this.
Exactly. She'll be sipping drinks on a beach somewhere. So
all the millions.
So what is, I have my own thoughts about why everybody else is scaling back. What are your thoughts about why everyone is scaling back, specifically EV production targets?
I think it is a demand problem for Ford and GM, and they are truly seeing that they do not see the demand anymore for their electric vehicles. And I think it's because they don't make as compelling EVs as Tesla does, or many of the competitors. It's a kind of a software issue, really, and we can see that with the Blazer EV that GM has just got out. And it's just getting hammered by Edmunds and all the other guys that have in for the review. And it had like, what was it, 23 problems within 2 months that they have this.
You remember that rap song? I have 99 problems, but like I was thinking like I got 23 problems, but but a Tesla ain't one.
Exactly. I really think Because like Jim Farley also said, I believe it was actually in 2023 when he was interviewed by, yeah, it was in the Fully
Right.
Charged Robert, and and he said, we have 150 different software suppliers, so that's why making a software update for us, it's not going to happen before we have our own software.
Right.
And they are working on becoming, and like you said, we have never made software before. And
Right.
now we suddenly have to become a very, very good software company. And
Right.
well, you probably know better than me that making software is just very difficult, and making very good software is extremely difficult. So
My little
just because,
company, we're working on a project that we wanted to release in December, but now it's like at least mid to late January before we can release it because it takes so much more effort. And it's just a little project, right? This is
yeah,
not anything like a car. So yeah,
no,
it's
no.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at a company that wanted to make their own operating system for taking orders and stuff like that in a travel agency, and we had that running for, I can't remember, 5, 6, 7 years, and it still didn't work properly, and it
Right.
didn't have all the features the promise still. And like,
Right.
oh my god! And we also changed supplier or software company on the way, and they
Right.
had to clean up the mess they made in
Man.
the first company and so on. So software is just really, really
Yeah.
difficult, and I don't think people really appreciate how difficult it is.
Right.
And I think this is a huge reason why we are seeing, because you can buy a Tesla and everything just works. Of course, there can be some hiccups here and there, but
Right.
basically, I've been driving Tesla now for almost 5 years, and yeah, they just seems to always work. And
Right.
charging is no problem. It just shows you where to go, and everything is just so nice. And then you get an legacy automaker's EV, and if you go to a charger that is not Tesla, well,
Right.
everybody have jumped on the Next now, next because of this, right? But also the software issues. If there is a software issue, they still can't fix it over the air like
Right.
Tesla does.
Right. Right.
Like
Oh,
the
or else you could see the Ford, what was it, the Mach-E, where the person, it said, sorry, you can't drive your car anymore, tow it to the dealership. I was like, that is not something you want to see on your vehicle.
no,
So, yeah.
yeah, and this
Tesla
is kind
really does. Tesla
of,
engineers, and congratulations to them, not just the sexy ones like the AI ones and stuff, but all the people building the embedded software stuff and, all the just there's so much stuff that happens under the hood of the vehicles that it's just, I think a lot of people are like, wow, hardware is hard to build, software is easy. It's like, yeah, okay, I understand. Hardware is harder to build than software, but software is not easy.
yeah.
You and I both have done it enough to know that there are so many pitfalls and it's so complicated. It actually reminds me, last year when I was at CES, I spent a long time, maybe 2 or 3 hours, talking to some lovely engineers from Volkswagen's Cariad software division.
Oh,
And they were all, they couldn't say it, but they were all very depressed. They had a huge booth. I mean, it was giant. I don't know how much money it cost them, a lot of money, to put up this giant 2-story thing inside the main hall. And now that doesn't even exist anymore because, of course, VW has shipped all of their software over to China and has pretty much disbanded the Cariad software. I think, I don't know. They've gone very quiet about it, but that was very
yeah.
predictable also.
Yeah, it's been a really
So,
disaster for them with the
yeah.
whole software
Yeah.
thing, and and they are scaling back as well,
Right.
and cutting cost and cutting employees and production targets and so on. And I also think it's because the EVs are just not up to par. I said it in my
Right.
review of the ID.3 3 years ago
Right.
now or something like that.
Right.
That it's a nice little electric car, but it's just too expensive for what you get.
Right.
And when Tesla lowered the prices, it was just like a death blow for Volkswagen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like now in my country, the Tesla Model 3 refreshed is like $1,000 more expensive than the starting price of the ID.3. But if you get the ID.3 with decent range, you don't want to buy the lowest one. They also a really
Right.
really crappy car. But
Right.
the good one you would buy is actually more expensive
Right.
than the
Right.
refresh Model 3 with screen in the back, ventilated
Wow.
seats, and all that good stuff. It's like there's just no competition here. If it
Right.
costs like $10,000 or $15,000 less than it does here in
Right.
Europe, it would be a great little car for the mass
Right.
market. But the
Right.
Volkswagen is not willing to to lose that much money
Yeah.
on making their EVs or sell them here in Europe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of the refresh Model 3, and actually this ties back to China because I did want to talk about all the competitiveness, but we still don't have access to the refresh Model 3. And now there are strong rumors, I believe, that Tesla has actually shut down the Shanghai factory, some of the Model Y lines, to build the refreshed Model Y, like not just the sort of refresh, but like the seriously Project Juniper version. And it makes, and you guys are reaping the reward of that with the Model 3, because of course they're shipping it from Shanghai. So good for you. And I'm glad, that was really cool. You got to drive one. That was awesome. Did you drive it or just look at it? I can't remember if you.
Both. I got
both. Okay.
access to it for a couple of hours just to look at it. And then a month later, I got to test drive it.
That's right. Yeah. Right. So, and is it a definite, you can tell the difference between your 2019 3 and that one?
Yeah. That's quite a big leap.
So you're like, oh, I need to upgrade.
Don't need that one. Don't need that one.
So anyway, but it seems to me, because there really isn't any competition in the United States right now to Tesla. And the other vehicles, the other EV manufacturers, the competition right now is, I think, mental from United States people. There's a lot of people who are like, never EV. I'm only going to, buy a big giant diesel truck and spend $100 to fill up the gas tank every time I want to do that, blah, blah, blah. So, but there's none of these Chinese car companies are really in the United States in any big way. So it's really Tesla's game. So they're not in a big hurry to update their cars here, because they're already so far advanced of everything else. But it is interesting to see that not just the Model 3 has been refreshed, but now it looks like they're like, because people, I guess, there are rumors that people in China are becoming dissatisfied with the Model Y, because compared to a lot of the Chinese competition, it seems kind of old now. And so see Tesla reacting to that and saying, well, we better get the new version out quickly. So
because they have so much competition in China. There is like, is it 500 different automakers in China? It's kind of nuts how many there is there, and the competition is fierce when you see it, because Chinese people really like all their high tech stuff, so they put a lot of cool stuff in there. So the Tesla suddenly feels kind of old school, because they just have one screen and that's it.
Right. Exactly.
All kind of cool stuff inside of them. So I think the whole reason why the Model 3 refresh came to Europe and China first is because it's here the competition is. Mostly in China, but definitely also in Europe, that is growing really, really fast in EVs.
The interesting thing is, because of Berlin, you probably won't get the refreshed Model Y very soon. So that will be an interesting little like balance between those. But I'll be fascinated, because it seems like the obvious choice is for them to make the refresh Model 3 basically like the Project Highland model. Sorry, the refresh Model Y like the refresh Model 3. Put a screen in the back, ventilate the seats, adjust the look of it just a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see if they even go like one step further and do something even more radical with that design. I don't know what that would be, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it could be very interesting if they do something, because everybody in China is putting all kind of whistle and bells in the cars, and Tesla kind of keep it on the low key, even though the refresh Model 3 is a great car and have a screen in the back and so on. But it would stand out a bit if they put something special in the Model Y as well, and also to make it stick out a little bit from the Model 3 as well. So
that's true. At least the things like the little, what did you think about the LED bars that went around, the little mood lighting bars in the
nice look. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing that got you super excited, but I know there's some people that really enjoy.
I have to have this Model 3 because light bar.
But I do wonder again if that might be a Chinese like oriented change to things, because that seems like something that. Okay. I've seen that in a bunch of Hyundai vehicles too recently.
Exactly, and also in Volkswagen and stuff like that. And it sounds like, if you saw the video that Lars from Tesla did over there in China, it sounds like it's pretty much the thing that the Chinese people want in the Tesla Model 3. It is them that have designed it. It's the Tesla China team that has designed this refreshed Model 3 with all the things in it. So I think it's because this is what the Chinese people want, and that's why they put it in there, because that's where the fight is.
Right. Yeah, it is. And it's really interesting. I think that's important for people just in general, because most of our audience, I assume, is probably in, North America, Europe kind of area, Australia, but not really in the Far East. And I think it's really worthwhile for people to kind of wake up and realize that that's where the fight has moved to.
Yeah.
where it's no longer the United States or Europe that is the fight for new vehicles. It's actually China. That's the battleground.
Yeah.
And so that's where you're going to see the rapid iterations. Speaking of which, I noticed last year that we were talking about full self-driving version 11 coming out. So we've had, I think it was almost all the way into March before we had access to version 11 of the software. But that's been, so that was a huge change. And now, of course, we're same thing, waiting for version 12 to come out of the software. But that's a big battleground too in China, because apparently the regulators have been very open, and a lot of Chinese auto companies are now doing autonomous driving in some cities in China, and Tesla looks like they're lagging in that area as well. So that will be a big battle for them to fight.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see, more about like you and all the other guys getting access to the version 12, because
I can't wait.
But I'm always way optimistic on this one, but just feels like they have solved it now. It's just a question of getting enough data through the system for it to learn.
Right.
But they have all the basics down now, or is that just again me being too optimistic?
Oh man, I don't know. So I have a big optimism bias, and I have a big pro Tesla bias, and I fully admit that. But there are people like George Hotz. I don't know if you know him, but he's the CEO of the founder of Comma AI. And he has from the get-go been saying all you need is an end-to-end software that just does vision. And so he's, he of course has been saying, see, I told you so. See, I told you so.
Yeah.
But he's in retrospect, obviously he had the right idea, but what he doesn't have access to is billions of miles of driving data. And so the really interesting thing will be that I've been looking into generative AI, the generative AI space, for creating synthetic data for making, full self-driving training. And if you can do that to a good enough quality, it doesn't really matter how many cars you have on the road anymore. You can do most of the training virtually, because you can generate a trillion miles of driving data, virtually, if you can do that. So it doesn't really matter. So it's very interesting, because I've actually kind of become slightly more worried about Tesla recently in terms of their AI team, because of so many fundamental changes to the machine learning, artificial intelligence landscape, that they might have they definitely spent a lot of money getting nowhere, because of course they were the first ones. And so they had to keep looking around for different ways to do it. And that's fine. But the concern would be if they barked up the wrong tree too long and somebody else would come along and go like, haha. I don't think that's going to happen, because I think you're going to need real world testing to get that. Even if you get 98% of the way there virtually, you're going to have that last 2%. And that last 2% is hard to get if you don't have real cars on the road.
Yeah.
So I still think that Tesla is definitely in the driver's seat. The dark horse, of course, again, is China, because you just don't know what people are doing over there. There's a lot of work that's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a lot of self-driving features in cars and stuff like over there. So yeah, they could be the dark horse to jump up suddenly.
Right.
But
the amazing thing is when I hear, I have just acquaintances, not really friends, but people that I run into, and I'll say like, oh yeah, the Tesla full self-driving. They're like, oh yeah, my Mercedes does that too, and it's full self-drives, and there's really no connection in their brains about the fact of how different it is. It's one of those, like, if I'm in a traffic jam and we're going under, 50 or 60 kilometers an hour, and there's a car that's within 10 meters in front of me, it's like, then it does. It's like, well, that's not really, that, okay, fine, great. I'm glad you could take your hands off the wheel then.
Yeah. So, traffic jam on the highway in good weather.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Tesla's been able to do that for 5 or 6 years. That's been no problem. That's the easy stuff. So
I think also that's because the version that we have here in Europe, for example, and why I don't think many people think about Tesla that way here in Europe, is because it has been the same for all the 5 years I have my Tesla. It has done some small improvement, but basically it does the same thing as it did 5 years ago. But when you see the progress with full self-driving, you have the beta testers and stuff like that. It's just mind-boggling how far they have got over the last couple of years, especially. And you just don't see that. But I really think when that gets out to the masses, when they finally get, even though we have to keep an eye on it, I'm fine with that. Let me keep an eye on the car for another couple of years. I don't care if it can drive me from A to B, as we see. That's going to be a big game changer if Tesla can get that software out there to the masses.
So I'll just tell you personally, I refuse to drive on the highway myself anymore.
Yeah.
So as soon like in town, sometimes depending on what I'm doing, I'll just drive myself. But as soon as I get on the highway, and especially for road trips, I immediately engage it. And the whole time it's on the highway and it passes and it does all the stuff. So I don't even think about it there. And most of the time in town as well, I also do it. There's this weird thing when I come out of my neighborhood, it's got the wrong speed limit and it still annoys the hell out of me. So then I take over and drive for a while there, but it really does most of the driving. And I think the big change that happened this year was that my wife, and everyone calls it, the wife test or the spouse test, she would never let me drive. With version 10 of the software, I was not allowed to drive the full self-driving. I had to drive. She's like, don't. And now she's going, stop driving, let the car drive. So she tells me to stop driving and let the car drive because she's like, he drives better than you. Because I'm kind of aggressive when it comes to driving. So anyway, so she prefers the car driving now instead of me. So that's a big change.
Yeah,
I would
that's
call
also
that.
what we hear with the version 12 that is more human-like in its driving.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, can't wait to
Yeah.
see more about that one anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So what, SpaceX or X next? Which one of the X companies?
Let's take SpaceX.
SpaceX, yes. Well, since we were already talking about our cool, I'm not even going to try. Oh, there we go. I almost got it. That guy. Yes, Starship launch. That was pretty big deal this year. So we had a couple of them actually.
Yeah,
two. One in April, 420. I remember that because of the date.
Yeah.
And and the other one, launch number 3 should happen relatively soon, I think. It sounds like
tested. Did you see the test of that looked crazy with the sound waves or whatever that was.
I know, so cool.
So much.
And it was really cool because after the April test, of course, they destroyed the launch pad. And it was really good to see that the launch pad was still all together after the was it November, whenever that test was. So yeah.
And they got all the engines working and all that stuff, and it got disconnected, but then everything blew up.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully they figured out what that problem was. I was watching last year's video, and I had mentioned that they should put an early production number Cybertruck into the Starship as the payload. And they still have a chance to do that because they haven't launched the first one into orbit yet. So come on, SpaceX, please put a Cybertruck into the Starship because it would be perfect. It's like the perfect vehicle.
We need new pictures of the Tesla in space.
Exactly. Now. Yeah, you had you said Panic last year, and you have the Starman with Panic on the thing.
That's great.
So yeah,
we need that with a Cybertruck.
Wow, man, that would be so cool. I would wallpaper everything. I'll put that up behind me. If they do it, it's back behind me. I'll make a big print of it and put it back there. So, that would be cool.
But they have when we're looking at SpaceX, they have basically just taken over the space industry. It's like if you think Tesla doesn't have any competition, this is like on a whole other level.
Right.
Is it
last year?
Cargo they put into space?
Yeah, I think so. Last year they've launched 60 something into space, and this year it was just shy of 100. I'm trying to remember if it was 96 or 97. I think it was 96. But and then I think Elon said next year they're looking at 140 to 1. I mean, they're almost getting not quite one every other day. It's like one every 2.5 days or something if you average it out.
Yeah.
So it's just nuts.
It's like you don't even get excited anymore when there is a launch just for Starlink.
No.
Anyway.
It's another Starlink. And by the way, I'm coming to you on Starlink this year. So
cool. You put up your Starlink.
Yeah. That was my second one, and it just it's working very well. So the only thing I regret about the entire experience was putting my foot into the ceiling, and now I've got a crack in the ceiling that I've got to fix. No. I know. It's like, that's definitely not my wheelhouse. So I'll probably have to have somebody help me to fix it because I don't think I'll be able to do it myself. It won't look good if I do it myself. It'll look very amateur. So
I also have Starlink. I haven't installed the second one yet because we want to build something to the house and we're going to put it on that one. But because I have had the first one as well, but then it got damaged in a storm, and it was like I just wrote to SpaceX on the app and said this one, the motor doesn't seem to work anymore because of the storm, and they didn't even ask twice. 5 days later, I just had a new one in the mailbox. Like, what?
Wow, that's really cool. That's really I will have to say this. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I think Tesla and SpaceX maybe have a bad reputation, but SpaceX's service has been stellar Like
Yeah.
all you have to do is just go like down to the troubleshooting and say, this didn't help me. And you'll get in touch. You leave a text message and they'll call you or anything. So they're great. And they took care of that when I got the actuated one. I didn't know if I could use my old pole mount to put it onto the roof and the cables, and the person just took care of it for me. He's like, oh, I'll get you these things and order them for you. I think I didn't even have to pay for the 45-meter cable. I think he was just like, yeah, we'll just throw that one in. So it was great. I mean, really stellar service. And we had a weird brake problem with our Model 3, and I just, got in touch with the company with Tesla, and they said, yeah, we see that there's some weird logs with this stuff. Bring it in. And I brought it in, and they gave me a loaner car, and the loaner car had full self-driving on it. It was literally, it was the exact same as my car. All the settings were there. My name was there. The full self-driving. I was like, this is cool. And I was like, wow, this is great. And it was actually a performance Model Y. So that was actually cool. They limited it though. I couldn't put it into sport mode. They had to they'd lock the software. So I was like, I'm sure. But anyway, but yeah, it was fantastic that it was all so seamless, and they really did a good job and didn't charge me anything except for the tire rotation, which obviously I paid for myself, but everything else was free because it was under warranty, and it was just great. I thought that their service was fantastic. I really don't have a problem with it. So I know some people have had bad issues, but they've been very good.
Yeah, I also had like the Model Y that is it's a leased car, but it did sound weird sometime from the front wheel, and we had to take it into service. And they also got me a loaner, and you just sign on the app for getting this car, and you register it, and boom, all your favorite things are there. It just felt like, oh, this is my Model 3, but it wasn't. Yeah,
that's the beauty of the software, is just how. Even I don't, have you rented a Tesla or not? Sorry, still getting over this cough.
Yeah. I did rent a Tesla when going to fully charge the first one.
Okay.
But I didn't have the app kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, they've upgraded. So the last time I guess it was when we were at the Cybertruck delivery event, we rented one, and now they have a thing where you like scan a QR code on the screen on your phone, and it just like connects the car up to your app. And it doesn't have full self-driving and stuff, but everything else is very seamless. And so it's so much better than it was. And it does the walkaway locks and all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to have that big old key anymore. So it's very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool.
So
yeah, sorry. This is why I have tea in here. So there we go. All right. So X, last year we were very hesitant to jump into X, but I think this year we can be a little more positive about it.
Yeah. Let's jump into it.
Jump into the X pool.
Yeah. So, also because we have also read the book, I guess we both have.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting to get a kind of a peek inside behind what was going on with all the buying of X, because that was not an easy buy.
No.
And very expensive.
Yeah. And wrong timing too, because he put it in right about the peak of the whole stock market, and then it immediately tipped over. So unfortunate timing, but Elon can afford it. We can't feel too sorry for him. He still has a few bucks left in the bank, so he'll be okay.
I think he'd be all right. Yeah. But I definitely, I can't remember her name. The CEO of X.
Oh, Linda Yaccarino.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because she also released a video at some point of what they were thinking about making X into, and I think it's kind of very interesting what they want to do. Kind of make the Western version of the WhatsApp or whatever it's called over in China, what that can do everything.
WeChat. Yeah, WeChat. Yeah.
So, and also just, the whole freedom of speech, I think is quite an important thing Elon is doing here. I know he gets a lot of hate for it and all that stuff. But I think it's actually very important, especially when when we have been following Tesla for so many years, that the anti-Tesla bias there is in the mainstream media and stuff like that. It's so cool to see when you do something on X, you get community notice. Even if your headline is too wrong, like or too negative, or just if you say something that is not true, it corrects it. And I think this is very important in the kind of the way we were steering down with mainstream media and social media platforms and stuff like that, that it's hard to know what truth is and what is right and wrong. And I think Elon could come in and change that, because he's willing to take the hate from the world until he can show that this is a much better way of doing things. So yeah,
this has been. I personally have a rather liberal bias, and so it's been difficult for me to watch this and realize just how far off the track the far left has gone. But it I think overall has been, his purchase of X, I think, has been instrumental, actually, like to helping to end this, or begin to end the woke mind virus, as he calls it, to like start to slow this down and turn it around, because it had really gotten very far. And I really don't think without his purchase of Twitter that would have happened this year. Maybe it would have happened eventually, but it definitely wouldn't have happened so quickly. So that was really important.
I think it's an important step we're doing with what he's turning X into becoming here. And then on top of that, all the cool features you want to bring in with payment and stuff like that's going to be really exciting to see where he takes this. And I don't think the world is going to appreciate what he has done before 5 years in the future or something like that.
Right.
But I think it was an important step to make social media good again, because I don't use much else right now than
no, that's the crazy thing, is people will be like, oh, I sent you something on Facebook, and I'll be like, when was the last time I logged into Facebook? I'm like, oh my goodness, so
exactly. It's kind of fun being in there all the time, because you get noticed of everything straight away, and then you get it from mainstream media a day after and stuff like that. Even my wife that always sends me stuff, it's something about Tesla, because you want to help out, but it's usually a day or two old, because
that's exactly the same for me as well.
I get it from X, I was like, oh.
My wife will be like, oh, did you hear about this? And I'm like, yeah, yesterday.
Exactly. I think we're going to see a lot of hate towards X and Elon from the mainstream media, because they are kind of getting disrupted by this media platform he's creating now. Also because now it's not just these small tweets anymore. Now people can make articles and so on. So I spend a lot more time in there now, because there's so much good stuff. Because now all the guys you follow in there, they can write all articles about stuff like the strike in Sweden or whatever you follow. Like we can see from some of the guys that follow.
Yeah, like Dave Wolf or Nicholas.
Nicholas, exactly.
Nicholas has been doing the really good coverage
of that 1 year. And Alex from Germany also, not from also, but from Germany, Alex Voigt. He also has been really good on Twitter, and now with the format it has now, you just get so much more information, because it's not you have to make a thread of 100.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was a big change and very helpful. It's interesting how my habits have changed. Like now, pretty much every morning I get up, and unless I have to do something immediately, I spend probably too much time. I'll just sit there with coffee, like looking through X and seeing what the news of the day is. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I start my day every day, because, trying to see what we're going to make videos about and getting to the new show and stuff like that. Just go in next and check everything there, because also all the media outlets I do follow and read, but I always get the feed through X, because that's where, they also post, everybody post on X with their articles as well.
Yeah, it's like a centralized, like even for news and stuff, it's like a centralized location to just go and find out. And really cool, you look at some of the big events, and you can actually just search those topics, and you can see different publications, different people, different takes on it. So it's really a quick way of getting a variety of views of anything important that's going on. So I think that's really cool. Yep.
Yeah. Now he's introduced Croc into.
Yes. Exciting.
You have access?
I do. You don't have access?
No, Denmark is not included yet.
It's good. It's sorry. Excuse me. I will get over this one of these days. It's definitely still. Do you have access to like ChatGPT?
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of 3.5. So ChatGPT 4, is better than 3.5. But Grok, the company only came about like 8 or 9 months ago. So
Yeah.
it's really impressive that they've been able to generate something like this. And I'm sure they've got something more impressive cooking in the background. So,
and
but
could be
yeah,
a good revenue stream for X when we're talking about
oh yeah, for sure.
and stuff like
And
that. So.
I personally think that Tesla is going to have Grok as their interface for Optimus and maybe the car as well. So
Yeah, there was one guy that made this kind of little commercial where the woman sits in the car and say, "Honey, take me home," and it's Croc answering
right.
inside the
Yeah,
car. And
exactly.
I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a thing one day.
Exactly.
But speaking of Optimus, I think we have to talk a little bit about Optimus because boy,
Yes.
they
Yes.
just dropped the bombshell like out of the
That was
blue
huge.
suddenly. That
Yeah.
was amazing. What a progress they have done since. Yeah,
Right.
was it the first? Well, you were at the event where they showed the first Optimus, right?
No, I wasn't at AI Day 1. I was at AI Day 2. So
Okay.
I got to see the one that actually walked out on stage.
Yeah,
But man, so that was September of 2022, September 30th. So
yeah,
1, 2, 3. So 15 months ago. And that just seems like ancient history now. When you look at that Gen 2 version of the Optimus, my goodness.
yeah.
Wow.
What a leap! What a leap!
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible. And not just the look of it, but the dexterity of the hands, the ability of the robot, at least from what we've seen. So that's one thing we didn't get in 2023 was an AI day. So hopefully we'll get one in 2024. I hope. That'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
that would be nice. But yeah, I kind of think the Gen 2 version of the bot just kind of feels like version 12 of Full Self Driving. Like they basically have got all the basics down. Of course, they're gonna improve and get new generations of it. But it feels like okay, they got the human form down. It can move his head, it can move his arm, and all the fingers and stuff like that. So they
Right.
can basically teach it whatever they want because they
Right.
have Tesla's neural network and vision in there. So.
And I don't know if you saw, I just did a video like a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, where I talked about how there's a really interesting person, very military bent, but he talks about how Bitcoin is actually war and it's a new technology. And if you don't get on board with Bitcoin, your society, your country, your whatever it is going to lose. And I actually made a connection with robots, with humanoid robots. And I was like, if your company doesn't adopt humanoid robots as soon as they're available, you're going to
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah.
And that there's a huge societal impact to that because that means that we human beings are not as valuable anymore as robots will be because of course it could take the place of 2 to 3 humans and cost less money. And how do you compete with a company if you have, I was saying, if you have 100 humans, excuse me, and you're competing against a company with 100 humans and 50 humans and 50 robots, how do you compete with that company? You just
You
can't.
can't. Yeah.
So you'll have to then buy the robots too, which means everybody buys more robots and more robots.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that video, and I also have one coming out next week where I look into 2024, and also because I think this is going to be, yeah, a game changer, of course. But even
Right.
before we actually get to AGI and an actual human robot that can think for itself, just a youthful humanoid robot in the factories and just Tesla's
Yes.
factories, that is. I feel that's very, very close at the moment because I'm talking about, there was this tour of the Shanghai factory where we saw these two guys just standing with these lifting machines, taking wheels off of it and putting them on the conveyor belt.
Right.
And they're standing there doing that all day. And that is like the easy thing. Like when Elon talked about they're going to thread a needle in a year's time, I think that's a much more difficult task.
Yes, exactly.
Putting over to the conveyor belt. So I think that's a job they can teach the robot very easy, probably by now, and have a demonstration of something like that by the end of this year. And if they can do that, I think the world would kind of wake up and see, oh, now I see what they're doing. Because that is one guy's salary for a year that's just going to pay off that robot. And suddenly, when they come out with their next generation production line with robots and everything, it's just going to be Ford and GM is going to feel like 100 years old suddenly.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and they are. So yeah, and Elon has hinted about the fact that I can't remember his exact words, but something along the lines of the next gen Tesla that they're going to build, the less expensive one. He said the production line is going to blow your mind, and me, Scott Walter, other people are fairly convinced that a big part of that is that you will see robots working, human robots, not just the big kukas, but you'll see you'll see human robots working on the line, and that will be part of the reason why it'll be so mind blowing. So I very strongly predict that 2024 we will see robots in the factory doing useful work.
Yeah. Also because like when I saw those guys taking that wheels from one place to another just with this little lift machine, it was like, that's so easy. And those guys are probably bored doing that all day.
Yeah, they are, right? And so that's one of the things. It's like, well, you also turn humans loose to do more interesting work if you can allow what's the 3Ds? Dirty, dangerous, and dull, dirty, dangerous. Yeah. Those jobs. And humans generally, imagine like sewer work or something, going down into the sewer and fixing something or cleaning it, or that's a job that humans will be like, good, robot, take it. That's fine. You can do that. So
I definitely think you're right on that one, that everybody else has to adopt with getting the robot as well. And if Tesla is the only one that has an affordable robot that can do all this stuff in the near future anyway. But I also think that Tesla will probably not sell the robots in the beginning, but lease them out because they're just too much value that they want to sell this one. Or what are your opinions of that one?
Oh, I completely agree with that. I mean, you can probably, for people to look at it, let's say it costs them $30,000 US to build a Model 3 ish, something like that. So if you sell that car for $40,000, you make $10,000. Yeah. If you can lease that car for $12,000 a year for 5 years or something, you make way more than $10,000, right? You're looking at what, 60 grand in that case. So you're making 3 times, and the robot, the economies of scale will be even bigger because they will be more valuable. Because I, as a normal person, I can buy another car. I can go buy a cheaper car. If you tell me, oh, it's going to cost me $12,000 a year to lease this car, I'll go find another one for $7,000 a year or something, whatever. But with the robots, there's no competition. It'll be like, you get ours or you get nothing, and until somebody else can build this. So we can charge anything we want. So if you want to pay $10,000 a month, it doesn't even matter. And the economic value is such that businesses, because it's not a consumer, businesses are looking at the bottom line, and they're like, if it costs us $150,000 to have 2 workers move parts from here to here, and it costs us $100,000 a year to have the robot do it, we save $50,000 a year. Why would we not take that? So Tesla could make a fortune on this thing. Yeah,
and it seems like they also really focused on making it affordable for them to produce the thing. I think you and Scott has talked in length of this one as well. That compared to the Boston Dynamic robot that cost over $1 million and has these knobs of rubber hands.
Right. Yeah. And it's, there are plenty of other factories humanoid robot makers out there. And I think that this is a big enough market that all of them will be successful. Yeah. It's not like only one is going to make it. So Tesla's not going to get the entire pie, but if they can mass manufacture them rapidly, they could get a big chunk of this pie, 50-60% plus. And that is a huge, huge advantage that they will have. So,
yeah. And also when we know Elon is owning, SpaceX and all that I just see suddenly the future where they get sent to Mars or sent to the moon and start help building the moon base for us and stuff like that. It's the possibilities are just endless when you combine Elon's companies together with a humanoid robot. You can just
okay. Wait a second. All right. So this goes back to SpaceX when they launched Starman in the Roadster. This one with the Starship, they should actually put a Tesla bot in the Cybertruck and have it drive the car while it's in orbit. I mean, not that it'll do anything, but that would be cool. It can wave.
Oh man, that is going to be the media.
That would be even better.
That would be awesome. Put Optimus up there driving around.
Yeah. So we'll put a Cybertruck and an Optimus in it. So that would be kick ass.
That would be awesome. Nobody else can do that PR
Yep.
stunt.
Yeah, talk about, man, that's and hey, look, I give it away for free, guys.
Yeah.
SpaceX and Tesla, you guys both get it for free. You get the idea. There you go. So,
Love from Dr. Know-It-All.
exactly. I love that idea. That would be really, really cool. And especially if it's just that one that's suborbital, it only has to last for like 90 minutes before it'll come back into the atmosphere and burn up anyway. So
Yeah,
who
yeah.
cares?
Okay, yeah, exactly. But the video is gonna be absolutely
Yeah, the video would be epic. Having Optimus in orbit waving,
yeah,
doing it's
exactly.
like this thing or something like that. Oh, it can actually do it's like this. It's hands. It's robot love hands. Yeah. Oh, I just I don't know why let's see if I can do that again. There it is.
Oh, look at that.
So silly. Wow.
AI is all around us.
Yep, it's going to be the year of AI, that's for sure. If we thought 2023 was crazy, 2023 is going to be absolutely mind-blowing when it comes to AI.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Yeah,
just accelerating. Like it's
right,
just crazy. Every month you hear something new or something.
right.
ChatGPT can do something different or whatever,
Yeah,
and the pictures are getting better. And yeah, it's it's difficult to see what is a reality when
right.
these images AI robots can do that. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
yep.
And one thing we haven't talked about, and I haven't heard anybody talk about in a long time, is the Tesla data centers. They talked about that Elon wanted to build
Yes.
49 data centers. Are
Right,
we
right.
anywhere near close to that, or is that a couple of years out still?
Oh, good question. I don't know. Um, uh, yeah, they've been very quiet about that this year. I
Yeah,
know that they are building that out internally because certainly we heard about how many. It was a lot of H100s they bought for Grok
yeah,
for XAI,
yeah.
but yeah, they've been really quiet about Dojo and everything. So it's time for them to do another AI day. We
Yeah.
need updates on all these things. It's like we just need to find out what's going on. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know about that, but they have been really silent about that this year. They've not talked about that much.
Yeah.
So do you predict that they're going to make some announcements about that next year?
Probably not this year. I think they have
Mm.
a lot of other stuff on their
Yeah.
plate this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, probably not, and probably want to use their efforts and computer power and Dojo and version 12 and Croc
Right.
and all that stuff they have going
Yeah.
on. So they
They
probably
do.
don't
They
have
have a
the
lot.
access of all this computer power yet. So
Right.
yeah,
That is true. Yeah, I definitely don't think they'll be allowing us normal humans to use it at this point. So, um, I was just thinking, like, so what is your prediction? How many Cybertrucks this year?
oh, yeah. Well, I am very much influenced by Brian White from My Tesla Weekend because we had an interview with him and Jan from TeslaFix, and Brian have said that he has talked to some of the guys from the supply chain, and they have said they have got orders to supply for 90,000 Cybertrucks.
This
So
year?
that can, of
Wow.
course, yeah, this year. So that can, of course, change 100 times by the end of this
Right.
year and all the time,
Right.
especially with Tesla's speed of change.
Right. Right.
So nothing is for certain, but that seems to be kind of Tesla's plan for 2024, as it is now, to get to 90,000 in production.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I don't know, but 75,000 or something like that, maybe.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
still think, because we are seeing quite good production around
Right. Right.
the factories. Not like they do nothing. And as Lars said with the Sandy Munro tour of the production line, you can see the equipment is here. We are ready for volume production. So they just
Right.
have to iron out all the small issues here and there. So and when it gets going, it just
Right.
seems like, I don't know if simple is the right word to use, but a simple production method, a production
Right.
line they have
Right.
created, because everything is new, but everything is simplified. Also with the steer-by-wire and the gigabit Ethernet around the car, and
Right.
there's just much less in the car that comes from outside as well. I believe
Right.
was it 85% of all the
Yeah.
electronic devices is
Right.
in-house made as well in this one. So I think when they get it rolling, I think it's going to ramp up. But I'm laughing a bit because I've also seen our videos from last year when when I talked
Right.
about why the of the Berlin Texas factory is going to be a
Yeah.
slow ramp in the beginning because of all the new
Right.
technology, but then it's going to jump up, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's going to slow ramp all the way compared to China
Right.
anyway. Yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah.
compared to
Well,
China, everything just seems slow.
and to our credit, I said something about like August, and I think you said about the same time for the Cybertruck to come out, and then maybe 10,000 this past year, 2023.
Yeah,
But we didn't know how many new cool things they were, like the 48-volt architecture, steer by
yeah,
wire, the CAN bus, the gigabit CAN bus they have, Ethernet CAN bus. All of those things are, and also just even how they make it. It's crazy. Those air presses where they bend the metal,
yeah.
that is just crazy and
Invented some new
nuts.
stuff, and yeah, had to invent a
So,
new
it
stainless steel as well. Yeah.
right. It explains a lot of why it took them so long. It was not easy, what all the stuff they did. So,
Yeah, like Elon tweeted or posted on X. Yeah, they
right,
put the heart and soul into this vehicle. It
right,
really felt like it. That the reviews we have seen on Sandy Monroe, mine has just been blown of how they have
right,
created this stuff, and everything is just made so well, and
right,
it's all new. Even the Giga casting when Sandy Monroe
right.
was blown because of it was only a 6,000 ton Giga
Yeah,
casting in the front or
that's
something
right.
like that,
Yeah, yeah,
where he thought it would be 8 or 9,000 ton, but
right, right,
just a new way they have found out of making
right. And I got to see that in person. I got to see that casting, and it looks very. There's not nearly as much stuff there as there is in like the Model Y Giga casting. So they figured out how to remove material, allow it to flow through that very large space very quickly. It's super cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it seems like the Giga casting is already, that is not the problem for the Cybertruck. As we can see, the castings outside the Giga Texas is piling up, so
right.
definitely not that's holding them back. So if they can
Yeah,
if they have all the supply ready for 90,000, I think
right.
I think 90,000 is a stretch. Probably they
Yeah,
could do it if everything goes right, but I think 70,000 or something like that would probably be a good positive guess of where we
yeah,
are
yeah,
going forward,
yeah.
and 50,000 maybe a bit more bearish outlook. So I
Right,
think
right.
somewhere there in between, but that will still be in the first year of full production. They just started and something completely new.
Right. And
That's gonna
what
be amazing.
I don't know if we have numbers for the F-150 Lightning yet, but I don't
No,
think they sold 50,000 this year.
no, no. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
So
But
if
probably,
that's the case,
yeah, if that's the case,
Tesla
this will
could
be,
produce more. So Rivian certainly didn't, and
yeah,
Ford didn't. So Tesla could have the best-selling electric truck next year if they can
yeah.
produce. I mean, honestly, if they can just produce as many as the demand is for, obviously they'll sell as many as they have. Because right now they're
Yeah.
selling the Founder Series. Would you buy a Founder Series?
If I could get it to Europe, yes, please
Oh,
bring me
okay.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, of course, if you're waiting a little bit, they also gonna probably have the newest version of the 4680 cells and all that stuff, and ironed out some of the baby issues there's always with a new production vehicle. So it will
Right.
probably be a good thing
Right.
to wait. But I just
Yeah.
didn't expect it to be this cool. To be
No,
honest,
me either.
I
I yeah.
yeah, when I
I
saw
really want to
Jason
test
from
drive it. I'm like, I hope that they allow
yeah.
us to test drive them soon. I haven't seen any word on that yet, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Because after I saw also Jason from Haggerty and their reviews of the truck,
Oh yeah.
he's
Very good
what
video, by the way. That was cool.
yeah, cool video. I love their production all
Yeah.
the time. And he's a real petrol head, and
Right.
his mind was blown about it, right? And he said he came in hating the Cybertruck, but came away
Right.
loving the Cybertruck because
Yeah.
he's also engineer, so he understands all the things that's
Right.
underneath. And I think that is also Tesla's strengths, right? Like Sandy Monroe said when he saw the Model 3 for the first time, he was like, "What the hell is this?" And then he started ripping it apart, and like, "Oh my
Right.
God, inside,
Yeah.
that's where the
Yeah.
magic is." Yeah, they didn't know
Exactly.
how to put them together as well in the beginning, but what's underneath was really good engineering. And
Right.
yeah, the Cybertruck is mind blowing in my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Cool.
I hope they can get it here. To
Yeah, I do too. I hope that they will at least manufacture I don't know, either that European road laws will allow it or that they will manufacture a slightly smaller version for Europe. But because it's very big.
Yeah.
When you stand next to it, you're like, this is a large truck. It's not diminished or anything. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, like Sam Evans over in Australia, who had an early order in, but he needs a right-hand drive version of the Cybertruck, and that could be a long time before they get that one. Although it looks like they've made it very easy because they no longer have the steering column or anything. They can switch it, but it's just the question of when will they actually retool to build it, because they've got so many orders in US and Canada. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the toughest problem for Tesla and the Cybertruck is basically handling that demand load they have, because it's
Yes.
nothing the world has ever seen before.
Right.
Demand. It's like off the charts. How are they gonna, because they can't raise the price too much, but like the Model Y, they can raise and lower the prices. And Elon said in 2022 that the Model Y was embarrassingly high because they had to raise the prices to slow demand down. But they can't do that with a Cybertruck. The demand is here. There's 2 million waiting to get this truck.
Right.
It's
well,
crazy.
but that also, and a lot of people got very upset about the price. And I was like, you know what? The demand is there. They'll reduce the price when they meet demand. Until then, why would they sell it for cheaper?
Yeah, and it doesn't make a very good price compared to the competition. In way,
exactly.
And also, Ford has cut their production target for next year or this year in half. So they're aiming for 75,000. So if Tesla can be around that, that's I think that's going to be a good catalyst for Tesla to show the world that the Cybertruck is not a little niche product for all their Silicon Valley people.
Yeah, that's all I hear people say, is that it's niche product. It will be interesting to see when they actually break the Cybertruck out by itself, because currently they're lumping it in with other, and obviously they probably only sold 200 or 300 maybe not even that many in 2023. But at some point they're going to have to break it out, because if they get 100,000 of them, it would be way more than the S and X. So, we both got the wintertime coughs going on and everything. It's just dry here. It's been very chilly here. It's been like every night it's been below 0 centigrade. So it's been, it's Georgia, so it doesn't usually get that cold here, but I mean, it does, just for a short period of time. But
we just had a snowstorm here in this.
Oh, nice.
It's the most snow I've seen in, I don't know, decades.
Oh, cool. All right. Time to go skiing.
Yeah, we are going skiing. Actually, we're driving Austria tomorrow.
Very nice. Oh, cool. Awesome.
And you're going to
Whistler in March for spring break. I've been checking their weather, and it's been I think the base still has 0 inches of snow. So they have had very, very little snow this year so far. So I'm hoping for, it looks like it's going to get substantially colder over the next few weeks. So hopefully it'll start to accumulate. But people who were there in December for like Christmas break and stuff were really disappointed. They were like, the lower part of the mountain was like dirt. So So anyway,
that sucks.
Anyway,
cool. Anyway, I think we have been through most of the expectations for 2024. Do you have anything else?
Oh gosh, you want to take a guess at 2025 while we're at it? What's going to be the big news? What's going to be the big news in 2025? Let's really put it on the line.
Maybe you'll just add the next generation vehicle, because as Elon said, they are already working on the production line in Austin. So I think they might be able to just show us the vehicle by the end of the year and then start production next year. So I think in 2025, definitely we're going to see the next generation vehicle, and that is, the big game changer when it comes to getting Tesla to really mass volume, to be the next Toyota Volkswagen.
Right. Okay. I agree. That was my big prediction for 2025 as well. Although I don't know how much lead time they're going to give. They're going to make it as short as possible between when they announce the vehicle and show the pictures of it and when they can deliver it, because people are going to go wild for it, and they're not going to want to wait, or they're just going to stop buying their other Teslas. So they're definitely going to really, really shrink that time. So yes, if they do announce it, it'll probably be very, very tail end of next year. And then they'll be like, we're going into production. So I think that honestly, we could probably get a little bit of a clue watching Giga Mexico being built next year. If it's going very, very slowly, then they're probably not ready to really ramp up. But if we suddenly see them go like, oh, we're working crazy hours and trying to get it done really fast, then probably that's an indication that because that one's going to primarily just be that next gen vehicle. So I think that'll be our little like kind of thing we can look at over the year. I don't know if Brian does he do Giga Mexico for you yet or not?
Yeah, I think he found a drone pilot down there.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's happened yet, so
right. No, but anyway, so we can get little updates from him every month about what's going on. But I have a feeling if we see all of a sudden that they're just like when they're building it out really fast, that will be a good indication that they're ready to roll with the next gen vehicle. The other thing is I will predict this could happen in 2024, but I'm more confident it'll happen in 2025 is that we will get Croc or some sort of large language model in our Teslas so that we can just talk to them. Yeah. I think that'll be cool. Awesome. So, I mean, come on, how badass would that be if you could just have a conversation with your Tesla while you're driving down the road? So,
ask a question and it can source the net and
Yeah. Or just, I've, had weird things where I've talked to ChatGPT on my phone and had it tell me stories and stuff. So I'm just saying like whatever, you just have conversations with it. Or the news, like you're driving to work or something and you're like, collect the news and it would know what you're most interested in and say like, what are the main stories and, read some headlines for me. So I think that would be very cool. So here's to that happening. I hope it happens in 2024, but I'm more confident it'll be in 2025.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah.
And you can have it roast you while you're driving to the grocery store. So the time that you get there, you're sweating because you feel so embarrassed.
They're not holding back on that one.
No, it does not. It roasted me and I didn't even post it because I was like, nope, I don't want to post this. I'll do it. I'll have it do it for you and I'll send it to you. Like I'll say do BestIn Tesla. Yeah, I didn't realize you didn't have it in Denmark yet. It's fun. You should just use a VPN. Grab yourself a VPN and pretend like you're in the United States. And if you just sign into Twitter now, it just has Croc on the side. So,
good idea.
There you go. All right, cool.
Yeah, cool.
Well, we covered a lot. We didn't really talk about Neuralink or our Boring Company, but I will be riding in the tunnels next week in Vegas, so I'll get to do that. So that'll be fun. But I think Neuralink is going to make some news next year too. Maybe first human trials. That would be really amazing.
Yeah, they have already asked for humans for trials. So that could be really interesting.
Right. Yeah. So we can hope for that. Cool. Well, in the meantime, thank you so much. This was a blast to chat and so good to see you again. And hopefully we get to meet each other in person again soon. Here's hopefully to maybe AI Day, right? AI Day 3. Pardon me?
In June. Are you going to the Tesla event that June?
What's in June?
With, Brian from Tesla White, and he's going to have I can't remember the name of their Tesla event, but I'm invited there anyway. I think you will be invited there as well.
Yeah, I need to check on that. Where's it taking place?
Yeah.
Someplace in the United States somewhere. Okay, well then I will
I haven't got everything on there.
So DM both of us and let us know where it actually is.
Where am I going? Because I'm going there with Jan from TestFX as well. We're going to go together and meet him for the first time, and we can get another beer there.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make a plan for that. That would be awesome. Cool. And if AI Day 3 happens before that, maybe we can meet up there at first.
Yeah, so that would be great.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, John, for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a blast, and 3 years in a row, so we'll have to try for 4 next year and see how wrong we were next year. What crazy stuff is going to happen that we didn't predict in 2024?
And how wrong were we on the production numbers? But I think we are more settled this
year. We have the same number this time around. We both have the same number, so we'll both be wrong by the exact same amount.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, John. Talk to you later.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.